you know, after this. Yeah. Hey, hello, good morning. Good morning, India. Good afternoon in England, and my good evening in California, and bedtime in East Coast. Thank you all for joining. This is MedBix webcast, and my name is Ramana Namaraju. For some of you know at least that. Today is going to be a special day. This month is actually this last week was Nurses Week. With all these are during the pandemic, we really realized how important the frontline healthcare workers are. It is vital to our healthcare system. It is they are the front engines of the driving force for the healthcare. I am honored to introduce you to wonderful guests we have today. First, I'm going to introduce you. We have two guests: is Colleen Campbell and Rajita Bomakanti. Colleen, so let me introduce you first. Colleen. Colleen is a friend of my friend, Laura Spurlock. Laura is a good friend of mine for a long time. Laura is a, Laura. Uh, I know her for a long time. She was a traveling nurse all over the country. I used to bump her into California and every other place. Then she was also Ken. If you remember, Ken Bradley, the Ebola virus patient, came to Atlanta. You know, she took care of them. She was describing those days how these hazmat suits and all the complete things that how you nurses they have to take a precaution. Now it was a repetition in a pandemic actually, so she had experience before this kind of things. But she introduced me to Colleen Campbell. Glad to Colleen. Thank you. She is Emory University nurse, and she's also colleague of. Yeah, she was an ex-colleague of Laura Spurlock. But Colleen Campbell is a registered nurse in Emory University. Let her take on and let her explain. Just 1 second, and I'm going to bring her to the screen. Okay, Colleen,
Hi
welcome.
there. How are you?
Good, good. Tell me
Good.
all the good things about nursing.
Yes. Currently, I'm employed in the Emory Cardiovascular Unit at Midtown. Just like Florence Nightingale, there's a strong belief that nursing it must be valued and it must be maintained. And nurses, we are just awesome. We're awesome people. We're caring people. And I believe that nursing ethical practices is acknowledged and it is very essential, a good feature for the nursing practice. But as we all know, yet there are many things that can compromise the nursing practice. This is why we have to stay challenged and we have to stay in good mind. Nurses, we love you. Like you just mentioned, the pandemic, we need you. We need your support in all aspects, the patient care, emotional care with our patients, being good caregivers. We thank you and we applaud you. There are several factors that's concerning in nursing, even though we face a lot of challenges. We still have to maintain, we have a lot of medication errors that we can prevent. And I chose to speak on this topic because it's relevant for patient safety. And, nowadays we have so much technology that's coming out. We are using the barcode scanning for patient safety. And it's essential because we want to make sure our patients are getting the right medication, the right route, the drug is going, the right dose, the right time. So now know our five rights and know that these medication administration things are essential. I've worked with a lot of good ICU doctors, good cardiovascular doctors, Dr. Puskas, Dr. Robert Guyton, Dr. Vino Thorani, also Omar Latooth, and these guys have been great. And they have supported their nurses through their journey. And I just want to say we thank you and we applaud you. because without you guys, there wouldn't be us. And without Emory, the community would be not as wonderful. I love being an ICU nurse and I love working for Emory. And I love the feeling that I get that I have done something and I've given back. So those of you out there that are still Florence Nightingale nurses, I take my hat off to you because it's not an easy job. I met Laura through my nursing job. We've worked together for several years, and I tell you, when Ebola came out and she was going through those changes, she stood her ground. And just like, with COVID, nurses have to stand their ground because we're caretakers and we have to give back. We have to be there and we have to be supportive no matter the challenge, however hard it gets. I just want to say give thanks to you guys and keep up the good work in the community and in hospitals. It's never easy, but we all have to come together and say, hey, we have done it and we're still here. And I thank you. I thank you and I thank you. And I thanks to the patients because without them, we won't be here either. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm glad to be here talking about how good it is to be a nurse. I've been a nurse for probably over 25 years, and I still love what I do. I still love nursing, even despite all its challenges. It makes me feel good to know that there are people that depend on me, you know. So I'll keep it up, and I'll keep coming back, no matter how hard it gets.
Thank you. The I wanted to bring you since you brought up medical errors, Colleen. There was a case right now in Vanderbilt University. There's a nurse that she got convicted. She by mistake, she admitted a mistake, and this because the computers the non-functional. As I get all the times in my Restream, the Restream is a great software. I love it, but the technical challenges are always there. One day the mic works, or the other days something doesn't work. There's always challenges. But she did the medical error. She got convicted. Thank God that she was not sent to the prison. She got the probation. That's good. But how stressful that part is, the medication, this barcode things, even though it is an extremely useful barcode, but there is a lot of overtakings and then right overs and all those things. What do you think in that to do that is unjustified? The people really sacrifice your lives, particularly your ICU nurse, and I'll talk about that too.
Yeah, it's I must say when I did hear the story, my heart goes out because every day, you come into work and you come into work with a good conscience. Nobody ever comes in with saying, well, they're going to do something bad to hurt somebody intentionally. And I really don't believe that was that intent. I just believe that there's a lot of times nursing can be very challenges, but we still have to take the time out to do our five rights. We have to maintain that, and I stand with that. We with the culture at Emory, we serve a fair and just culture. We learn by our mistakes, and we are human. So I do. I have a hard time with it because it happened, and I feel for that nurse. I really do. And I just don't know what to say. I'm glad she was able to not go to prison. And
But she cannot practice anymore. That's sad part. She
I
sacrificed
know,
her life.
and I know, like I said, depending on where you work, you have to make sure you're in a fair and just culture where if you do make a mistake, that mistake is not to harm you, it's to help you and help teach others. And that's the great thing about Emory, because I think if nurses do make mistakes, I pray and I do hope that it becomes a learning lesson and we try to implement devices that could help protect against what had happened.
Yeah.
Um,
It is a musical chair. She ran out of chair. That's all. It's a entirely complex system, and she was a unfortunate victim of that. But
yeah,
second part, I wanted to ask you about the ICU nurse. Being ICU, in ICU, it is a lot of challenge, a lot of stressful situation you are in. Tell me about that. How you cope up with the stress? How do you deal with that in and day out? That kind of stress.
Well, first thing is first. I always pray before I go in. I pray when I'm there, and I pray when I leave. And I do ask God to put me around good people that are going to be team players. And I must say, I do work mostly weekends, if not all weekends, and I have a great team that I work with, and they're awesome. And I believe when you have a good camaraderie with your folks and they're team players, people will help. No matter how challenging the night is, I can always reach over and say, "Hey, could someone help me?" And they'll be like a swarm of nurse coming in there to help. We just have to be good team players. I believe in that. You have to be team players because there might be a time where you might need somebody and you have to call out and reach out. So we all have to work together because we're all in it together. We all have to get help and give it when it's needed and not, be standoffish. Teamwork makes the dream work. And I think we do a pretty good job at that.
Thank. I really appreciate all the sacrifices you all do. Talking about stress, I'm going to introduce you next guest. Stay with us, Colleen. The next guest is going to be another nurse. She is a probably nurse educator for how to relax. She is a master at that. Her name is Rajita Bomakanti. She's she is. I'm going to bring her. Right, you can stay there on the Colleen. But Rajita is a from my home state of Andhra Pradesh, India, and we speak same language, but she is much more smarter than me. She was yesterday, 2 days ago. I was attending her thing, so her conference, and it was a beautiful lessons. I learned practical lessons from her. The practical lessons I learned from Rajita is wonderful. I think you all, not only just not for the health professionals, but it's useful for all every aspect, all walks of life, in fact. And I let you introduce Rajita back here. Welcome, Rajita. Thank you for joining with us.
Thank you, Ramanagaru. Thank you for having me over, Colleen. That was well said. Me being a nurse for over 30 years, I started at Midtown and now I'm at Emory Johns Creek. And I work as an ER case manager. Plus, my passion is really to help people to inspire them to tap into their inner power. And look at their healing power that they have within them, which we all don't realize. Where, life is a reflection of our body state, right? Many just feel very stuck in it and unsatisfied with their health and their well being. So, today I am going to share with you how to reclaim your life and live with love and passion. You're going to learn to thrive and survive by investing in your own self, which is the most valuable investment you're going to make in your life. So do not underestimate the journey of healing and the real well-being that we all have. It's already within us, and it isn't like a dose of antibiotics that we take for 14 days and then stop it. This journey is lifelong. We are going to be on this journey to heal and reconnect with ourselves at every moment in our life, throughout our life. So, that being said, if you can please share the slides.
Okay, sure.
Garu.
Just give me 1 second. I am. Um, I think this is the one. Yeah, this is yours. Yeah, this looks like it's yours. Uh, is this yours?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep,
let me
that
go
is.
to the first one. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, just the, yeah, we can go to the next slide.
Okay, just a minute. We always you can I can all. Okay, and this is next slide is okay.
Okay, so here, you know, injuries and infections cause acute inflammation, and then the body's response is to get rid of that, to bring the body back to its balance. That increase in inflammation rate is very critical for our survival of physical injuries and infection. Inflammation is the body's response to threats, whether it's a foreign invader like a bacteria, virus, or cancer, or a transplanted organ, or even psychological or emotional stressors that cause us on a day-to-day life. Chronic inflammation is that is the problem, not the acute. It is the chronic. Think of chronic like as though it's a sickness behavior that causes your body to have flu-like symptoms even in the absence of flu virus. The lingering, prolonged stress, that's what it leads to chronic inflammation, which in turn reflects on our physical health as chronic conditions. All the chronic conditions step from that lingering chronic inflammation that we have. If we can go to our next slide, please. So, where does that start from? The chronic inflammation starts from the stress. What is stress? When we are in a state of stress, our body is totally out of alignment and we are not feeling comfortable within our own body. There is a disconnect between our mind, our heart, leading to achiness, anxiety, anger, and distress. When we are stressed emotionally or psychologically, our body goes into what's called the fight or flight response, releasing the body's stress hormone, cortisol. Cortisol works to suppress non essential emergency stuff. Like, normally our blood supply goes to the entire body, right? But when we are in stress, it goes to our limbs so that we can run away from the threat that's in front of us. And then adrenaline raises your heart rate and the blood pressure, and that's what also uh, you know tries to give you more oxygen so that you have that energy to go. So that is basically our flight or flight. If you have heard, most of the time, the tiger chasing you and you're trying to
Mm.
run away. So that's kind of really basically where we are with that stress. And this becomes a problem when you are in this state chronically, that cascades the inflammatory response is set up. That is what that maladaptive response to stress that we have over time, it perpetuates itself and becomes implicated in the chronic health conditions. When we are in this state of imbalance, that's when we are threatened, whether it's real or perceived, does not matter. Stress is all about threat perception. If we can go to the next slide, please. Threat is all about our perception. How do we perceive our environment and other people? Those are totally involuntary by our nervous system. Our nervous system is picking up information in the environment, and that is just not on a cognitive level, but a neurobiological level. It picks up, and on our mind cannot tell the difference if it is a real threat that's out there or a perceived threat. And we are caught in a defense response. The thinking brain is the last one to be aware that something is wrong. It all starts with our thought process and our perception. If you think your boss is mean or your coworkers are not helping you in your unit, then that is what that threat sets in, and you have that all the time, and you're constantly on that fight or flight mode, and you're saying, oh, they didn't look at me right, they didn't pass this, just simple things. It just gets exaggerated in your mind, but that is your mind doing it. It's all automatic that happens. So that leads you to that burnout state. The environmental cues are magically transforms your physiology and how people perceive you. Your autonomic state is that filter. It acts like a filter. That's what you experience, what the world is around you. The stress, arousal, and emotions belong to that survival brain. This is all totally automatic that happens. So, you know, how can we manage this stress? In order to manage this stress, let's go into this polyvagal theory. Who It was Dr. Steve Porges that has coined this polyvagal theory. The theory highlights the basic need to be in safety. We, as humans, we are looking at safety or threat. So this is what he highlights and addresses: the social engagement system, how, being connective, love, mindfulness, the social engagement system, and the fight or flight, and then the freeze, when you are at a point where you can't even escape, you're at that freeze state. So that's what he describes: the sympathetic fight or flight and the parasympathetic rest, digest, and relax. So if we can just go into the next one. So how do we, get into that relaxed state? Is that sweet spot, is that ventral vagal tone. It is all about increasing our vagal tone, the vagus nerve, that's the wandering nerve that's all around, connecting to all the organs in our body. By increasing the vagal tone, the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, and having a higher vagal tone, that means you are more relaxed and you can think clearly and react clearly to the things around you. Instead, the when you are at a threatened stage, then you are not making the decisions properly. So one of the things is meditation. Meditation reduces the stress response and also lowers your inflammation. And you know when your immune system is in danger, you feel like you're in danger, it keeps that in calm, always in check. It's that balancing system. The brain, as I said, it cannot differentiate between real and perceived threat, right? So this visualization, the brain calms it. The fear, anxiety are these repeated thoughts that are constantly depleting our energy. With meditation, thinking speed increases, the clarity improves, and then you'll be able to change those internal dialogue that's happening within you, which is hard to change with that external environment. Meditation helps in clearing that internal thoughts. So we'll go to the next one, how we can improve. This is the breath exercise. Breathing is this continuous process, and it's automatic, right? Can we manage this breathing? Can we control? There is a way to control this, but we don't really understand this power of breathing. Breath has the biggest power. Breath is a different way of showing our emotions. Think about it. How, when you're angry, or how is your breathing? You're fast, rapid, versus when you're relaxed. So that is, breath is what is controlling our emotions, or emotions controlling, whichever way you're going to think about. But in a normal situation, we are only using about 30% of our lungs. Most of us, 25 to 50% of them, breathe through their mouth. Proper way of breathing is through your nose. Let's say you are in a stressful situation. How can you quickly get back into that parasympathetic relaxed system? I would like to share one instant way of getting into the relaxation. Just bring your hand up to your forehead. Put two fingers on your forehead and use the right thumb to close the right nostril and fold the other fingers and take a slow, deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're doing only with your left nostril. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Repeat this about 10 to 12 times. This cools your body and you get into that relaxation state. And also, if you have noticed, I have increased the exhalation. 4 in for inhalation and exhalation. That's when you are getting into that relaxation mode. When you exhale longer, your heart rate is going down, your blood pressure is going down. You can even test this by checking your heart rate and blood pressure before and after, and you see how powerful this breath work is. This is just very, very simple, but very powerful. So, what's our next way? How can we tone our? Yes, this is called expressive writing. Another simple tool. We repress most of our emotions and thoughts within us. We don't express big, and then over time, what happens? We just blow up. Like crazy because we had so much of sitting inside of us. So increase our vagal tone. We can do that by letting go of these negative thoughts that are within us. How can we do that? Just take a scrap piece of paper, any paper, sit down at the end of the day and write down all those thoughts that are going in your head. Just write it down and rip it and throw it out. You're disconnecting your emotions with yourself. And then if those thoughts come back again, do the same thing. You don't have to do this all day and every day. Do it every day, but maybe 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. You will really see the shift in your thought process because you're not holding on to them so much. The next one is forgiveness. We say, I am never going to forgive. What happens when you do that? You're trapping this anger within you. How long are we going to hold on to that anger? When we hold on, it's only affecting us, not the other people, whatever they did. So, in order to save yourself, just forgive them, accept people the way they are, and move on. You're not forgiving the bad act, whatever they did, but you're just letting go of that so that you get free from that, whatever you're holding on to, what other people did. So the next one is nutrition. Moving to more natural whole grain plant-based meals, more of whole grains, fruits, vegetables, legumes, beans. These are all anti-inflammatory. Processed foods, sugars, packaged foods, most of the packaged foods, they are all pro-inflammatory. So move towards natural foods as much as possible. The next one is our physical activity. We sit down in our chair all day, every day, especially the people that have had the desk job. You know, why not use those gadgets that we have, like the telephones, things like that, and put an alarm on it? Every hour, get up and move around. Even if it is just 2 minutes, 3 minutes, just get up and move around. And that is bigger thing that you can do. People are calling it, inactivity is going to be like the new smoking epidemic, because we just sit in our car, move, we are not active much at all. And also movement about 150 minutes a week, 30 minutes a day. Play is another big thing. When was the last time you played? When we were little kids. As we get older, we get very, very serious. Just let go and play whatever you enjoy. By doing this, you're going to shift those stress pathways into the play pathways and your circuits will shift, and you are going to, recalibrate your brain waves, and you will really enjoy. Sleep is the next one. We sacrifice our sleep all the time. Sleep is very, very important for our overall health. We need to sleep at least 7 to 8 hours a night. Good night, restful sleep is very important to have this entire body cleaned and keep our well-being at bay, so that we don't react but we respond to people in an appropriate way, so that all the toxic stuff is getting cleaned in the brain while we are sleeping. Here, what is the most valuable thing to invest? I would invite you to review your limiting beliefs that are limiting your performance. Seriously study the resentments that are drawing your energy, where you think you cannot do it. You can look at the scarcity, something that is blocking you. Look at that and unleash that amazingness that you have within you. You need to rewire your brain, your thinking, so that you can calm your nervous system. If you do your inner work, that translates into your physical symptoms, and you will be able to calm your nervous system and help yourself. Okay, what happened?
Oh, you can't hear me. I turned off my mic. I was wondering, I'm talking, all these technology problems, right? So let me show you the floor. Sorry about that, Rajita. Thank you so much for your extraordinary presentation. I follow your techniques, two techniques that I follow, that breathing and walking every hour. This is a lesson for all the technology people in India and here who are sitting in front of the computers. That's what they need, at least a breathing exercise, and then the other ones are it's totally valuable. Writing something, and then in the forgiveness is there, all those value, the Hindu and Buddhistic values in Christ, and values of the, my children go to the church, and then they practice these kind of things. That's really important, in these present situations. I don't see my PowerPoint. I'm trying to, where it is. Let me see. Yeah, maybe it is here. Okay, I found it. So I'm going to talk about Florence Nightingale very quickly. She's a lot of people think that she's a nurse, but she's definitely a wonderful nurse. But actually, she's a very public health professional. She's a, that if I'm going to talk about some of her privilege, some background. She is a privileged intellect. She came from a very wealthy family. She's this month is a, by the way, national. This last week is May 16th to 12th was Nurses Week. This, I consider the whole month is a Nurses Week. What they did for this during COVID is unbelievable, and still they're doing it. She is, Russia versus Ukraine war. We are all watching, but this is Russia invading Ukraine is not the first time happened, And it happened in 1853. Russia invaded Crimea, which is a lot of ethnic population. There was no Ukraine at the time, but it's under the Ottoman Empire and under the Turkey. So the Russia invaded Crimea to control the Crimean peninsula, is across the Black Sea. So then England was came in and do Ottoman Empire. They don't have to. They didn't have strength enough to face Russia. So Russian aggression is stronger. Their military power is very convincing. So what they did was England came in. They sent their soldiers. France sent their soldiers to defend off Russia for the Ottoman Empire to Crimean War, Crimean Peninsula. Actually, the reason they say that, a lot of people say that, even in the Wikipedia, it says that England went to war with Russia during 1853 because they thought Russia wants to take over India, which is a prized position. India, the diamonds and spices and all those things. So that was their fear. So England to send a lot of soldiers there. Oh, sorry. Then that this is a modern war. They use in this Crimean War is the first war that they use a lot of relatively new kind of technology. They have telegraphs. They have until that there's no communication channels. They used the railways. There's no railways before. All buggies, horse buggies. Then they use a naval cannons or naval the shells. So they use a very modern war. It is a brutal war. Is went on for 5-6 years. It's just it took a toll on. It is a modern war, and compared to those times. So let me just put these people in the. Okay. Oh, I'm putting the wrong one. Yeah. Okay. So there is a massive casualties in the. This is a logistical, medical, tactical failure in the Crimean War. Bear with me why I'm talking about Crimean War, about the Florence Nightingale. That's important. You need to listen to what she did here. So 500,000 people dead in that war. It is for compared to the population at the time. It is a catastrophe in the proportions, highest proportions. So massive injuries. Actually, the deaths are due to the actually not because of the war injuries. They died because of the diseases. This is a first medical war. They understood the infectious diseases, then the power of the damage it can cause during the wars. So this war, most of the 25% of the people died from the British side from the infectious diseases, not from the wounds from the war. That is what they realized. That is where Florence Nightingale come in the picture. So these are crowded. If you see that there's a crowded hospitals, that's like a small houses. Compared to they're all shoved under the one place, and it is a disaster in the medical side. It's a medical catastrophe in that sense. So the Florence Nightingale, during the time she was a nurse, she took a training in the Lutheran Hospital in Germany, and then she was in history making in that sense. So she was a privileged, as he said, a privileged intellect, and she was learning from her father mathematics and physics and sciences. She was crazy about mathematics. When she was 10 years old, she's putting all the hospitals list, all the patients list, on all these things. She's comparing all those doctors list. She's doing all the nurses list. At that time, there is no real nurses, but that kind of that's not a respectable profession during those days. But she put all these collecting the data together. So she took the Crimean War. She took 38 nurses from England, and then she moved to Turkey. So she went to Crimea to this disastrous war across the Black Sea, in the Turkish side, in the Istanbul. She took 38 nurses, and she saw the horrific conditions of the British soldiers. And then she created a first data analytical chart. She invented almost a pie chart. She didn't invent the exact pie chart, but it's called a row chart. It is a chart she invented. What she invented in this chart is telling you the blue color is the number of people dying from the diseases. The people in the pink color are people dying from the injuries. See that the proportions, that the way the people were dying in compared to the injuries. Actually, most of the people were dying because of the diseases, not rather than injuries. That was this is like a groundbreaking during those times. She invented this is a pie. She made it popular pie chart. That's what she did. She made it extremely popular. She took this one to Queen Victoria, and showed this. Before that, all the statistics what they were doing through the tables. You know the kings and presidents. If you show the tables, they just turn around. So she was showing this pie chart. She showed that she demonstrated how the British soldiers were dying, not because of the injuries. They were dying because of the conditions of their, and the diseases, the cause of diseases. Also, she was talking about. So she demonstrated first time a statistical model, a pie chart, a colorful pie chart. She was going in the Westminster, which is a Congress for the England, Congress, like United States Congress. Westminster is like Congress for England. She was walking around there with these pie charts, showing how this so she was actually threatened. She a lot of she was ignored during the time. Woman is not paid attention, and but she said that I'm going to take to the public. I'm going to go to the press if you don't pay attention to me. And they were scared, and immediately she got the funding. In fact, she got the funding for the hospital in the Crimea, for the hospital there. She's a powerful lobbyist, actually. So in our Atlanta native, we are all three from Atlanta now. So W.B. Du Bois actually is in Clark University. He was the president of Clark University in Atlanta here, Atlanta University. Sorry, at the time it's called Atlanta University. He got the clues from the Florence Nightingale and created a chart, colorful chart that is white versus black, and what is in the empowerment discrimination, all those things he showed. And it was exhibited, this pie chart that W.E.B. Du Bois did this. It was in the Paris exhibition. It was in the Paris exhibition in 1900s. So she made it single-handedly popular, the pie charts. That is a credit goes to she's the first statistician. People don't know. Everybody thinks she's a lady with a lamp, or she was a nurse. Sure, she was a nurse, but she was a tremendous mathematician. She understood the data analytics. She was the first public health professional for humanity, in fact. So she took the funding. She got the funding from the Queen Victoria, and then built a hospital. She was not only she was a true scientist in every sense, mathematician, scientist, architect. This time, what she did was she understood the value of the lighting. The natural light is so vital to the health of the soldiers, particularly injured ones, for the PTSD and other mental conditions. That's important. So she created a big windows. She created a first hospital design. Until that, there was no hospital design as such. Just hocus pocus buildings they're putting together, just anything that comes across. But they followed certain rules now. They followed that the spacious rooms, and then the lighting, the particularly natural light. She allowed it the large windows. That's one thing she did. Then also she did a carbon dioxide measurement. During that time, she took the Lyme test. It's called Lyme test. It is blocking that one, actually, my sign. But what she did was she took the Lyme test. Means she took the air quality to measure the quality of the air. And if you put the some test tube mechanism, I, I can explain later on if you have time. But it turns into the pure white. if it turns too white, that it knows the amount of the carbon dioxide in the room. So she is a scientist in that sense. So she instigated this. She installed she came up with a number: 2,500 square foot or 5,000 feet cube per hour air has to be circulated. That is now everybody knows, all the nurses know oxygen therapy. She understood indirectly in 1856, understood the value of the oxygen therapy. She has a, not only, I'm telling you, she is a scientist, she's a nurse, she's an architect. In Scientific American made a tribute recently for the coronavirus. During coronavirus, she was the first architect of the hospitals. She said that lighting and the ventilations are so critical for the infectious diseases to be, to prevent infectious diseases like coronavirus and COVID-19. So I tell you that she took single-handedly, she took the mortality rate by showing that to the reduction in the mortality 65% to 2%. Amazing what she did. That is what she was. She should be admired by every profession: architect, hospital administrators, nurses, of course, nurses. Then the data analytics guy, IT people, they have to really admire their resolve and their intellect. In fact, in that sense, my daughter is actually a statistician. She does a lot of she did statistics, and I was telling her Florence Nightingale is more of a statistician. She was actually a nurse, but she was not. She was not really taking care of directly patients, but she was walking around after 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the wards with a lamp. That's why they called her lady with the lamp. And they were a Filipino. There was a so she is the first one. Actually, she gave ideas to do prefabricated field hospital. Uh, Renkioi Hospital in Turkey, they built the first field hospital. There is no concept of field hospital at the time. She took the prefabricated, she imported from England and put it there. Everything is ready to go. She had a thermometer there. She was some other equipment, microscope or something that she put in. And those times, 1856, think about that. She made it prefabricated hospital, first one in the world for humanity, in fact. So she then, everybody knows about this. She did the first notes on hospitals or hospital architecture, hospital administration. I can tell you, she is an amazing woman in that sense. Her breadth of knowledge in the mathematics, science, chemistry, and chemistry, and the nursing, of course. And then she wrote the wonderful book on notes on nursing, and everybody knows all the nurses here. They can tell you about that. They take a Florence Nightingale pledge upon completion of the nursing career, nursing graduate upon the graduation. Actually, there is a Virginia hospital, first one, during the Civil War. Confederates and Union armies followed the Florence Nightingale Union notes. Actually, they followed and they built the entire hospital on her notes. That is the first hospital was built from her architecture design, from her notes on the nursing. She built completely on her. She is the first originator of hospitals, not just she's a beginner. She's not the genesis for nurses only, modern nursing, but she's a genesis for a hospital, as you know now. So, and then, IT people talk a whole day. When you call them healthcare IT people, they talk about interoperability. Interoperability means talking about the doctor's office, EMR, electronic medical records, talking with the hospital systems, hospital talking with the insurance companies. It is just a mess there. Right now we have interoperability is a worse situation. It is a political process, is a political problem, is a some extent technical, but is a more of a political problem. There is a Epic is run the biggest things. They don't want to allow their data to be shared with anybody else. So there is a lot of challenges going on in the interoperability side, which badly needed. But she, in 1855, she really did install the first initiated the interoperability system. She think about that uniform hospital printed forms. She went to the Birmingham hospital, all the British hospitals, and she distributed these uniform printed forms. Hey, you got to follow these particular forms. You have to find out what the diseases are, and then she gave some codes also. It's not a CPD or ICD codes, but she created some codes for the. So she collecting the data. She's an amazing woman. How she collected that was the original form she created. See that number of patients remaining in hospital for first day year, patients admitted during year, patients recovered or relieved during the year. Think about that. Even 1856, that even now, the interoperability architects can they're not coming anything better than this. I tell you honestly, she was an amazing what she did in that sense. She was honored by Royal Statistical Society. She actually she instrumental in forming the Royal Statistical Society of England, and then American Statistical Society. She made her honorary member. A lot of people don't know this. American Statistical Society president went to England, and she never visited in the United States because she was sick. She was having a lot of problems in health wise, but they made her honorary member of the American Statistical Society. So she was interoperability. She understood long before these IT people understand. That is a really phenomenal for that times. The last one I'm going to show you this. So she did a in she didn't she wanted to go to India, but they did not give her permission to go to India because of her health conditions. And there was a mutiny in India at the time, and then she said that, you know uh, don't worry, that the Indian mutiny killed some British commanders, like around 2,000 commanders. So that was a big furious. England was furious about it. Why they killed so many British commanders? So there was a lot of fury. But what she said was, don't worry. Actually, what they killed is a very minimum number. The Indian the conditions in India, the sanitations and all this, the infectious disease are killing more British soldiers than the any mutiny does. So she wrote a 2,000-page notes on the villages and sanitation and all those things. She produced the first 2,000 notebook for India sanitation, gave a comprehensive plan, and she started a Commission on Navy, Royal Commission on Sanitation in India in Mumbai, and she initiated she installed a chairman for that, or a chairman, or one of the head of the commander for the Indian sanitation team in charge. So she was she was traveled across. I mean, except the United States, she traveled to Europe completely. She went to Egypt and all those countries. She's a well-traveled woman. So she was the first concept. She introduced the medical tourism concept. That she was promoting Switzerland patients to go to Turkey. So she was saying that the cheaper, lot cheaper Switzerland. The healthcare system was skyrocketing costs at the time, 1854. Think about that. Yeah, if she will turn into this, if she knows of the prices now, she would be horrified. But she introduced the concept of the medical tourism during the time. Then so she's battled the mental bouts of depression. Catherine Wisner from Northwestern Chicago University, she post diagnosis. I don't know how, but she was convincing. She convinced that she was. It was convincing that she says that Florence Nightingale suffered a bipolar disorder. That's what she post diagnosis. But she had she was with all this. She was a genius. She's a intellect of the highest order. And then she was designing hospitals. She was a nurse, and she was designing hospitals, hospital notes, the processes. Amazing what she did. It is a truly remarkable woman in that sense. So she, but at the end, she stands for her compassion. She is a great statistician, nurse, architect, reformist, social reformer. But what she said is she has a compassion. It shows here. I stand at the altar of the murdered men, and while I live, I fight their cause. Florence Nightingale. She's a true pioneer and innovator. Thank you for listening. I wanted to bring those two people back to the original people that let me bring all of them. This If I can, if I learn how to do this, I'm going to work on it. uh, I need to turn off these things. I think technology we are learning. Rajita, I'm going to bring you in a second. 1 second. Give me. Oh, you're okay. So thank you all. Really, I truly honored to have you on this panel. It is we all humanity, not just me. Entire humanity was a gratitude towards the nurses. What you all do every day, day in and out, is remarkable. You want to say any closing thoughts, Colleen? You want to say anything? Just let me 1 second. 1 second. Let me turn on your. Okay. Now you go ahead.
All
Now
right.
shoot.
First off, I wanted to just thank you for having me on the show. Regita, beautiful, stress relief. We need to have that on the unit. We need to have posters. We need to have a quiet room where we can go and de stress from the challenging ICU care or med surge care. That was beautiful. And, we do need to de stress and learn how to relax and just let it go. Rama, I wanted to thank you for having me here. Um, we all would like to think that we are Florence Nightingale in some minute
You
part.
are.
She has brought such an ethical standard to nursing that we have to stand on. And to celebrate this nursing week, I am glad you were able to talk about her because there's some history that I didn't even know existed where she, was doing all of this. And can you think back in a day when there was no things as gloves or technology or barcode and scan, and she was on the front line of all of that,
Absolutely.
and they managed to elevate themselves through technology and all these innovation things that we have right now. That is awesome. And this is why nursing is so wonderful. This is why, because we have more room to grow. Can you imagine? Now we're doing telemed where we get to talk to people and take care of them over the telemed and tell them, hey, listen, if it's that serious, come on into the hospital. And it all started from her.
Yeah, thank you. Rajita, anything, any closing thoughts?
Thank you for inviting us on this, special month recognizing nurses, Ramnagaru. And thank you, Colleen, for, bringing us back to, bedside nursing, how it is with the scanning and all of that. Yes, I recall that and I see that every day. It does take special people to be nurses. Not everybody can be that patient advocate for the patient, talking for the patient, representing the patient, thinking about them, putting them, number one all the time. We are constantly, caring for them, educating them, and doesn't matter whether you're at the bedside or behind the scenes, and
That's right.
some fashion we are doing it. And that presentation was beautiful, Ramnagaru. A lot of stuff which we don't know. We learned, about who started, how she started it way back then. As Colleen said, without any technology, she did such a beautiful job. Not so much about no sterile field gloves and all that, but she saw where the problem was and addressing the problem. So let's get back to that, you know, basics. We are so much involved in these gadgets. Maybe once we need to clear ourselves and getting back to the basics and understanding, and then move on from there.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for both of you and I'm honored. You know, your patients have nowadays patients anyway. Patients have no voices. You're the voices of the patients. You're true patient advocates. Thank you for their truly honored, and humanity owes you a big time. Thank you from my bottom of my heart. Thank you. Goodbye. Good night, all of
Good
you.
night. Thank you.
Good night.